China's economy is collapsing. Local authorities are desperate for money, imposing unreasonable fines everywhere. As China's economy declines, local governments are facing financial constraints and are using various methods to generate revenue. Some are robbing people under various pretexts, some are imposing heavy fines for minor offenses, and some are robbing private enterprises in other provinces, a practice commonly known as distant sea fishing. In other words, some local governments send public security police to other regions to plunder the property of local enterprises, especially private enterprises in economically developed provinces. Today we will discuss related topics. According to official disclosures by the Chinese Communist Party, national tax revenue fell by 3.4% last year, while non-tax revenue soared by 25.4%, with fines and confiscations increasing by nearly 15%. Fines and confiscations refer to fines plus confiscated revenue. For more than 20 years, local governments in China have relied heavily on land finance. Since land in China belongs to the government, local governments transfer land use rights to real estate developers. However, due to the continued downturn in the real estate market in recent years, land use rights transactions have decreased, causing local finances to struggle. As a result, fines and confiscations have become a way for some local governments to generate revenue. An elderly man in Fuzhou, Fujian, made a profit of 14 yuan by selling celery. Officials determined that the celery was unqualified, and the local market supervision department issued him a 50,000 yuan fine. Because he did not pay the fine on time, an additional 50,000 yuan penalty was imposed. In 2022, the CCP's fines and confiscations nationwide reached 428.3 billion yuan, the highest in a decade. After this data was released, public outrage erupted online, and the CCP subsequently stopped publishing fines and confiscation figures. According to incomplete statistics, from October 1st to December 6, 2021, Bazhou City, Hebei Province, which has 15 townships under its jurisdiction, collected 67 million yuan in fines and confiscations within just 2 months, 11 times the amount collected from January to September of the same year. A total of 2,500 companies and individual business operators were fined, with an average penalty of 26,000 yuan per company. The CCP's local authorities exploit people in various ways. On February 5th, a shop owner in Jimuxi, Heilongjiang, released a video saying that 3 individuals claiming to be from the Environmental Protection Department came to his restaurant and demanded that he install a fume purifier. Otherwise, he would be fined between 5,000 and 50,000 yuan. The 3 also claimed that if he did not install it, he would destroy the blue sky of the whole country. The shop owner stated that his small restaurant, which has been open for over 10 years, receives only 2 or 3 customers a day, with an average spending of just 8 to 10 yuan per person. Moreover, he mainly sells Korean bibimbap, making a fume purifier unnecessary. The streets are empty all year round, and I barely make 21 a day. Why would I need a purifier to protect the blue sky? Let me survive first. Did you install a purifier? According to our regulations, if you don't, you will destroy the blue sky of Jimuxi and all of China within your business scope. My store has been open for almost 10 years, and this is the first time I've encountered this. I only have 2 or 3 customers a day, and each spends just 8 to 10 yuan. Installing a purifier makes no sense. It's just like cooking at home. Besides, my restaurant mainly sells Korean bibimbap and similar dishes. The CCP's official agencies have been criticized by the public for imposing arbitrary fines and fees. A villager in Yancheng City, Jiangsu Province, sold a sheep for a profit of 180 yuan and was fined 100,000 yuan by the local Market Supervision Bureau. A villager in Yancheng, Jiangsu, was fined 100,000 yuan for selling a sheep without quarantine stamps, even though the meat later passed inspection. On November 21, 2023, the Dafeng District Market Supervision Bureau confiscated 4 sheep carcasses, 6 sheep heads, and 180 yuan in sales proceeds from Chen Guangfang's stall. Despite financial hardship and a sick family member needing medical expenses, her appeal for leniency was rejected by the court, prompting her to appeal again. The sheep originally belonged to Gu Dalan, a villager who sold them to pay for cancer treatment before passing away. His brother pleaded for leniency, stating they had no choice but to sell the sheep. The case sparked public outrage over excessive fines imposed on small vendors, with many questioning the fairness of law enforcement and the economic struggles of those trying to make a living. There was another incident of farmers being fined indiscriminately. It was reported that Mr. Gu, a farmer in Shou County, Huainan City, Anhui Province, drove a pickup truck to a nearby gas station in November last year to buy diesel because his tractor and harvester had run out of fuel during the busy farming season. As a result, he was fined 30,000 yuan. Since the gas station was far from the farmland and large agricultural machinery could not be driven directly to the gas station for refueling, Mr. Gu loaded 3 barrels of diesel, totaling more than 100 liters, into the pickup truck and prepared to transport it back to the farmland to refuel the agricultural machinery. However, on the way back, Mr. Gu was stopped by the Transportation Law Enforcement Department and fined 30,000 yuan because he did not have a license for the transportation of dangerous goods. This punishment put Mr. Gu in a difficult situation. He had to sell the rice in his fields and borrow money from fellow villagers and the village secretary to pay the 30,000 yuan fine and reclaim his seized vehicle. Once the incident was exposed, it immediately attracted widespread attention and discussion from all walks of life. Many netizens believe that although Mr. Gu's actions violated relevant regulations, considering that he was using the fuel for personal use rather than for business or sales, and given the limited refueling options in rural areas, the law enforcement department's punishment was too severe and lacked humanity. On October 25th last year, the blogger Bobo's Little Gold Vault, who runs a gold shop in Hangzhou, Zhejiang, posted a video saying that she had been fished in the ocean. Someone contacted her on WeChat to buy 2 investment gold bars, and the customer later confirmed that he had received the goods with no issues. However, after completing the transaction, her bank card was frozen by the Shaanxi Public Security Bureau, and she was told that the money had to be transferred out before the freeze could be lifted. A day or two after completing the transaction, my bank cards were frozen one after another. I went to the bank to ask what was going on. The bank replied that the Shaanxi police, who were thousands of miles away, had frozen my account. The bank gave me a contact number and asked me to reach out to them. I called them, but they said the number was incorrect. I tried other ways to contact them, and they said they would get back to me. Then, either no one answered the phone or they said the case officer was on a business trip. This went on for more than 2 months. It has now been 3 or 4 months since this happened. I can't sleep at night. My blood sugar was normal, but now it's abnormal. I have suffered severe mental torment, distress in every aspect, and my business has also been affected. Here, I just want to remind everyone to be cautious. When things happen, I tell you, there is no justice. If you are a victim, you are a victim. It's that simple. 2024 is about to pass. The CCP has shifted from promoting the bright theory of China's economy to admitting defeat. It reminds people of a statement from Meituan's Wang Xing in 2019. This year is the best year in the next 10 years. Recently, the speeches of 2 economists in China, Fu Peng and Gao Shanwen, who work at investment banks, have gained popularity. In his speech, Fu Peng stated that China's effective demand is gone and that leverage can no longer be increased, meaning involution is a dead end, and the idea of the winner is king is no longer applicable. Gao Shanwen was more blunt. He estimated that China's GDP growth rate may have been overestimated by 10 percentage points in the past 3 years, and that the number of unemployed people was underestimated by 47 million. He summarized China's post-epidemic society in 3 sentences. Vibrant elderly people, lifeless young people, and middle-aged people who have no desire to live. How will China's economy decline by 2025? Gao Shanwen, chief economist at SDIC Securities, cited an analysis of provincial and regional data at an investor conference in Shenzhen on Tuesday, December 3rd, finding that 47 million Chinese workers across the country could not find jobs under normal conditions. According to Bloomberg's calculations using official statistics, this is equivalent to 10% of China's urban labor force in 2023. The actual number is much higher. His speech quickly gained attention on Chinese social media, including Weibo, and even became a hot topic on overseas social media platforms like X. It's not easy to publish an article, a mainland Chinese netizen posted about the speech on a portal website. This is correct based on data analysis, a very good report, another netizen replied. As of the time of writing, portal websites such as Sina still feature Gao Shanwen's speech. China's society is upside down. The elderly are thriving and the young are struggling. Gao Shanwen's public speech was broadcast live on multiple domestic platforms in China. He stated that his conclusion might seem counterintuitive, but China's post-epidemic society can be summarized in 3 sentences: vibrant elderly people, lifeless young people, and middle-aged people who have no desire to live. He said that the consumption shift in recent years reflects the fact that pension incomes for retirees remain stable, while the employment prospects for young people are bleak. We tend to believe that after the epidemic, young people are the primary buyers. The less confident young people are about the future in a given region, the weaker their consumption and their willingness to buy houses, he said. But the income expectations of the elderly are not restricted, and they have a strong sense of happiness in life. The economic growth rate contradicts consumption data and is also disproven by employment data. Gao Shanwen noted that before the epidemic, consumption growth closely mirrored economic growth, with consumption growth slightly faster. After the epidemic, however, consumption growth lagged far behind economic growth. If we trust the employment data, then the economic growth rate is too high. If we trust the economic growth data, then the employment data is too low, Gao Shanwen said. The relationship between employment and growth has been very abnormal in the past 2 years. In terms of employment, his estimate is that the cumulative gap between people who actually found jobs in cities and towns and the trend line stands at 47 million. In other words, 47 million Chinese workers have been unable to find jobs under normal circumstances. According to Bloomberg's calculations using official statistics, this is equivalent to 10% of China's urban labor force last year. He suggested that one possible explanation is that these workers returned to their hometowns or stayed in rural areas, while others may be doing odd jobs, driving online ride-hailing cars, or staying at home. This means they are not counted in the official unemployment data. Other independent analyses have also pointed out that China's job market is weaker than what official data suggests. China's economic growth rate has been overestimated by 10 percentage points over the past 3 years. Gao Shanwen estimates that China's GDP growth rate may have been overestimated by 10 percentage points in the past 3 years. Based on his analysis of discrepancies between economic growth data and trends in areas like consumption, investment, and labor. Among China's total data, the most credible is the price index, which can be sampled and is difficult to manipulate by various forces. Other data are less reliable and are easily disturbed by non-statistical factors, he said. He added that if China's economic growth rate were revised down by 3 percentage points each year, all the data would align. China's economic recession has hit young people hard. They are scrimping on food and clothing with no hope of assistance. Gao Shanwen pointed out that elderly people with pensions not only have stable incomes, but also see their income increase year by year, allowing them to continue engaging in activities like sunset red, a form of dance, and square dancing. In contrast, young people are in a difficult situation. For young people, income expectations have been significantly lowered, and the certainty of income growth has been drastically reduced. They can't find jobs, and the jobs they do find are far from what they expected. Young people are scrimping on food, turning off the lights, and eating noodles, Gao Shanwen said. At the same time, China's youth unemployment rate has remained above 17%. Furthermore, the Ministry of Education of the Communist Party of China predicts that the number of university graduates in China will reach 12.22 million next year, and millions of young people will join the ranks of the unemployed in a situation where there are more monks and less food. Even eating out is a luxury for the poor Zhang Hong from Hebei province, celebrated his 33rd birthday in August this year, but he could not afford to celebrate with a nice meal out because he had been unemployed for over half a year and his financial situation was dire. Zhang Hong had previously worked in a factory in a coastal province, earning 5,000 yuan a month. However, at the start of the year, he injured his right hand at work and his company shut down. The injury made it difficult for him to find another factory job, so he had to return to his hometown and live off his savings. With no income, Zhang Hong can only control his living expenses to about 400 to 500 yuan per month, most of which goes toward food. Buying is about reducing unnecessary expenses. I just buy food, avoid buying clothes, and focus on maintaining food and clothing. I cook my own meals. 400 to 500 yuan is enough, Some dishes are very expensive, so I don't buy them. It's impossible to eat out now. A bowl of ramen costs 8 yuan, and with 8 yuan, I can eat 3 meals at home, he told VOA. The only time Zhang Hong ate out this year was at a party with friends, and he only went because his friends were treating him. Zhang Hong admitted that he couldn't remember the last time he paid for a meal out. Zhang Hong's poverty due to injury and unemployment is not the worst. An anonymous interviewee told VOA that he had previously run a small shop in a province in central and southern China and lived a decent life. However, due to forced demolition 5 years ago, his home and shop disappeared. Because he focused on activist activities, he couldn't find a regular job and had to rely on savings and occasional odd jobs to survive. He now spends only a few hundred yuan a month, eating just vegetables, eggs, and a little meat. If you have a job, you can spend an extra 300 yuan, but it's usually about 500 yuan a month, he said. Lack of confidence in the future makes the middle class reluctant to spend. Even if they have money, many young people in China are forced to live extremely frugally due to unemployment. However, even young people whose situations are not as bleak still choose to live as frugally as possible because they lack confidence in China's economic prospects. Fu Peng, chief economist at Northeast Securities, pointed out in a speech at an HSBC Group internal event on November 24th that the soaring housing prices since 2015 have stimulated consumption, leading many people to accumulate huge debts. Since 2019, China's total demand has been continuously declining, and young people born in the 1980s no longer have the spending power, which has caused economic pressure in China to quickly emerge. Fu Peng's remarks sparked widespread discussion in Chinese society. As a result, it was reported that Fu Peng had been interviewed about this. His WeChat account, Fu Peng's Financial World, is now unavailable. A 30-year-old family of 3 living in Beijing shared on the internet how they managed to feed themselves 3 meals a day for just 14 yuan, buying noodles, mung beans, mangoes, fried chicken, cereal, and cucumbers. A young university lecturer also shared how he survives on just 100 yuan a month for food.